Welcome to Investors Insight. Today we're diving deep into Micron Technology, ticker symbol MU, traded on NASDAQ. Micron is America's only manufacturer of advanced DRAM and NAND flash memory at scale. Founded in 1978 and headquartered in Boise, Idaho, Micron supplies the memory chips that power everything from AI data centers to smartphones and autonomous vehicles. In this video, we'll walk through a comprehensive 10-point institutional review of this semiconductor powerhouse. So let's get started. This slide captures the three core pillars of the Micron investment case, what we call the trillion-dollar thesis. First, AI-driven hypergrowth. Physical bottlenecks in HBM memory are creating unprecedented pricing power and explosive margin expansion. Second, structural revenue stability. $100 billion in strategic customer agreements, or SCAs, have effectively broken the historical boom-bust memory cycle. And third, the institutional-grade score of 91 out of 100, driven by record quarterly revenue of $41.46 billion and flawless execution. These three pillars together make a compelling case, as we'll see throughout this analysis. Micron holds a unique competitive moat. It is the only U.S.-based manufacturer of advanced DRAM and NAND memory at scale. On the revenue side, FY2025 delivered $37.38 billion, split roughly 77% DRAM and 23% NAND. The data center end market now accounts for 56% of total revenue. Critically, the company secured $6.4 billion in Direct CHIPS Act funding to build megafabs in Idaho and New York, giving Micron government-backed manufacturing capacity that no competitor on American soil can match. This is a genuine geopolitical moat. The latest quarterly numbers are simply extraordinary. Revenue hit $41.46 billion. That's a 346% year-over-year increase and a 74% sequential jump in a single quarter. Operating margin reached 81.2%, driven by cloud memory pricing power. Net income surged to $28.24 billion, up an astonishing 1,402% year-over-year. And operating cash flow came in at $25.39 billion for the quarter, generating $18.3 billion in free cash flow. These are not the financials of a commodity chip maker. They reflect a company that has fundamentally repriced its products in an AI-driven world. Micron's technology leadership stands on two pillars. On the HBM4 side, it has beaten competitors to mass production of 36 GB 12-high stack HBM4, specifically designed for NVIDIA's Vera Rubin platform, delivering bandwidth of over 2.8 terabytes per second and pin speeds exceeding 11 gigabits per second. That's 2.3 times higher than HBM3E. On the process side, its 1-gamma EUV nodes are achieving mature yields 50% faster than prior generations using AI-driven wafer image analysis. And on storage, Micron introduced industry-first PCIe Gen 6 data center SSDs with 100% power efficiency gains. This is genuine technology supremacy. The anti-cyclical lock, strategic customer agreements. The SCA structure is the most important financial innovation in Micron's history. Three mechanisms work together. The volume commitment, $100 billion in cumulative take-or-pay contracts through 2030 lock in 20% of DRAM volume and 33% of NAND volume. The price shield. Built-in mathematical price floors set higher than the peak margins of any past memory cycle, meaning even in a downturn, Micron's floor is above prior cycle peaks. And the capital fuel, $22 billion in upfront cash, $18 billion in deposits, and $4 billion in letters of credit. Funds capital expenditure without touching the balance sheet. This is a structural revolution, as we say. Looking at the first four scoring dimensions, profitability earns a perfect 10 out of 10, an 81.2% operating margin, and $28.2 billion in net income completely redefined manufacturing benchmarks. Financial health scores 9 out of 10, $30.2 billion in cash and securities with massive free cash flow generation. The 1-point deduction reflects the heavy $27 billion forward CapEx requirement. Technology also receives 10 out of 10 for clear leadership in HBM4 mass production and EUV1 gamma nodes. Market share scores 8 out of 10, absolute dominance in premium HBM, though overall volume share trails Samsung and SK Hynix in standard DRAM and NAND. Moving to strategy and macro dimensions. Business model scores a perfect 10. The $100 billion SEA effectively transitions Micron toward a predictable, SaaS-like infrastructure valuation model, which is exceptional for a hardware company. Growth environment also earns 10 out of 10. Data center demand is guaranteed through 2028, followed by what appears to be a multi-decade edge AI supercycle. Geopolitics scores 8 out of 10. The megafab build-out in Idaho and New York creates an incredible domestic U.S. moat, though systemic risk from the broader U.S.-China tech war remains a modest offset. Strong overall strategy marks. On governance and risk, legal risk scores 7 out of 10. Ongoing patent disputes with Netlist, including ITC exclusion attempts covering HBM and DDR5 products, act as a slight overhang on sentiment. ESG and sustainability earns 9 out of 10. Micron's Xeon Hub has achieved a 91% greenhouse gas reduction as part of industry-leading zero-carbon initiatives, supported by a strong S&P BBB+ credit rating. And management receives a perfect 10. CEO Sanjay Mehrotra's visionary execution in pivoting to HBM and the SCA business model is nothing short of masterful. Leadership quality is rarely this clear-cut in the semiconductor industry. The overall institutional scorecard lands at 91 out of 100, an exceptionally high grade. The research conclusion states it clearly. Micron has fundamentally solved its historical cyclicality weakness through technological dominance and structural contract innovation. For decades, memory was the most cyclical segment of semiconductors, violent boom-bust cycles that destroyed value for long-term holders. But with HBM4 leadership and the SCA architecture, Micron has effectively exited that paradigm. This is a structurally different company from what existed just 3 years ago, and the score reflects that transformation. This slide delivers what may be the most important conceptual framing of the entire presentation. GPU processing power is useless without data feeding it. Think about it. NVIDIA can build the fastest GPU in the world, but if memory bandwidth is the constraint, the GPU sits idle. Micron is no longer a cyclical commodity chip maker. It has become an indispensable, heavily defended infrastructure monopoly gating global AI deployment. Every AI model that trains, every inference that runs, every data center that scales, all of it flows through Micron's memory. That's not a chip maker, that's a toll road on the AI highway. The suitability matrix tells a clear story depending on your investment style. For growth investors, it's a 5-star fit. Micron acts as the premier infrastructure derivative to the AI supercycle, with FY2026 EPS growth projected at plus 50% year over year. For value investors, 2 stars. The forward PE of approximately 10 times appears deceptively cheap, but requires strict understanding of memory cycle normalization risk, best utilized strictly at cycle bottoms. For income investors, 1 star. The dividend yield of only 0.1 to 0.3% is incompatible with income strategies, and capital is intensely reinvested into $200 billion in domestic CapEx plans over the next 2 decades. No analysis is complete without an honest look at risks. 3 persist. First, litigation overhang. Netlist's aggressive legal strategy at the ITC and federal courts poses a persistent, though manageable, royalty and margin threat. Second, geopolitical friction. Heavy operational reliance on Asian fabs leaves exposure to regional conflict, and Chinese competitors, CXMT and YMTC, are rapidly gaining share in legacy DRAM and NAND. Third, residual cyclicality. While SCA protects approximately 40% of revenue, macroeconomic shocks affecting the remaining uncontracted commercial demand can still induce meaningful share price volatility. Eyes wide open on these factors. We close with the long view. The next supercycle will see demand shift from the cloud to the edge. In automotive AI, L2 plus autonomous vehicles are projected to represent 40% of new car sales by 2030, dramatically increasing edge memory loads. In humanoid robotics, next-generation systems require exactly 10 times the memory capacity of current automated systems, a massive demand multiplier. The timeline runs from 2026 through 2030 and beyond. The conclusion? The current data center boom is merely the infrastructure phase. The deployment phase guarantees a multi-decade growth trajectory. For long-term investors, this is the bigger story. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.